part 6, and as you can probably tell, I'm pretty damn jaded after going through the Unholy Triforce, to the point where I'm not sure I even want to be in the same room as a CDI game. But we've got one more game to review, so here we go. After the fallout between Nintendo and Philips gained the right to use Nintendo characters, and one of these characters was Mario. In the early 1990s, the Mario franchise was world-renowned for its platforming and spin-off games, and was one of the most successful and widely known gaming franchises in the world. And at this writing, Mario is still the best-selling franchise of all time, and now Philips had their hands on it. So what do you do with the Mario license? Well, you do what's typically done. You make a kick-ass platformer. And originally that was the plan, as Philips intended to release a platformer called Super Mario's Wacky Worlds, which was supposed to be a sequel to Super Mario World, but it was cancelled after the CDI failed in the marketplace. However, what did make it to retail was Hotel Mario, which, unlike the Unholy Triforce, was developed by Philips' internal development team called Fantasy Factory. Now, depending on your point of view, that may or may not be a good thing. But you still gotta ask yourself, what do hotels have to do with Mario? So we begin with the opening cutscene, where Mario and Luigi are on their way to meet with the princess for a picnic.
I hope she made lots of spaghetti!
Yeah. And then they discover a note from Bowser saying the princess has been kidnapped and made a quote-unquote permanent guest in one of the hotels run by Bowser and his Kooplings.
If you need instructions on how to get through the hotels, check out the enclosed instruction book.
Okay, thanks for the tip.
Looks kinda.
So Mario and Luigi make their way to their first hotel, which turns out to be a giant tree. Yep, so this is it. This is Hotel Mario, a game where all you do is close doors. Yes, folks, you heard that right. A Mario game where all you do is close doors. Okay, so there's a bit more to it than that, but that's essentially what you do in a nutshell. Now, each hotel is broken up into 10 stages, with each stage having 5 floors that you can traverse using elevators. Your goal is to have every door closed, and once that is achieved, you move on to the next stage. Now that sounds simple enough, but there are enemies who get in your way and try to thwart your door closing endeavors. They do this by opening the doors you've already shut, either by entering the stage, or by simply walking by and just opening it. You can also die by touching an enemy, running out of time if all the doors are opened, and on some stages by going too far to the side, which might be some kind of simulated falling, I don't know. You can defeat enemies in typical fashion by simply jumping on them. However, there is one slight problem with this. When Mario jumps, he jumps high enough to almost clear the floor above him, and often there will be an enemy above you where you simply cannot jump without killing yourself. You also bounce when jumping on an enemy, which all too often means bouncing into an enemy on the floor above you. Oh, come on now. Man, I hate these caterpillars. You can hide inside rooms and elevators to avoid enemies, and we also have traditional power-ups like mushrooms, starmen, and fire flowers, which allow you to defeat enemies without having to jump, which, in a lot of cases, is a real convenience. In addition, you can collect coins, and every 30 coins earns you an extra life. The game also features unlimited continues, and a save feature which allows you to take a break and resume where you left off, or return to a hotel you've previously beaten, so you don't have to complete this in one sitting. The game is broken up into 7 hotels. The first 6 are controlled by a Koopling and comprise of 10 stages each, while Bowser's Hotel has 15 stages, with Iggy serving as a sub-boss. Yes, poor Iggy here didn't get his own hotel. The game gets progressively more difficult as you advance. For example, As you progress through a hotel, the stages become more crowded with enemies. The elevators also become more confusing because early in the game, the elevators are very straightforward, but by the second hotel, they start switching directions. On the third hotel, some of the elevators start taking you up or down several levels, which often results in floors that have 2 elevators that go up or 2 elevators that go down, and by the 5th hotel, they stop marking them altogether. The first 3 hotels are pretty easy and straightforward, but after that, the game starts to get a bit tricky. At first, you only had to worry about what was immediately around you, and you developed a kind of tunnel vision. While starting on the 4th hotel, enemies start flying across the stage, forcing you to play with greater foresight, and to take a step back and pay greater attention to the bigger picture. By the 6th hotel, things start to get a bit brutal. Each stage is packed with enemies, and to make things worse, each stage has 2 parts, so it's kind of like 2 stages in one. And if you die on the second part, you have to start again on the first part. Couple that with the already ramped up difficulty and yeah, you're gonna be here for a while. Each stage has its own unique theme and a set of features that makes it challenging or annoying depending on your point of view. After you beat each hotel, a cutscene will follow and sort of hint as to what these features are, like lights that constantly go out, or slippery floors, or clouds that cover things up, disappearing doors, coins that become enemies, and so on. Each stage is slightly different, so you never really know what to expect. This keeps the game from getting too repetitive, and forces you to alter your strategy just a tad bit. Aside from the jumping issue and enemies occasionally coming out of nowhere, I really have only one big complaint about this game. The boss fight with Wendy has got to be one of the cheapest fights I've ever had to deal with, and there's just simply way too much luck involved here. She blows kisses that come in 2 forms. The first form is a flying heart that flies around and opens doors, and the second is a kiss of death that homes in on you. When fighting Wendy, you just have to get lucky and hope that one of these hearts doesn't open a door right before you're about to win. In addition, these hearts seem to move in a random manner, as sometimes you can move past them without incident, but other times they seem to home right in on you. And the worst thing is, you have to fight her twice. The only other problem I have is not giving Iggy a hotel. Why have 10 stages for 6 Koopa kids and 15 for Bowser? Why not 10 stages for all 8? And if for some reason you had to do it that way, why not have Ludwig as the sub-boss, since he's the one who's second in command? Furthermore, when Iggy arrives, he comes out wearing a Bowser mask. I mean, what a way to degrade poor Iggy. So after you beat Bowser, you get a cutscene of his hotel crumbling to the ground. Mario and Luigi then run off with the princess, and I guess they're gonna have their picnic.
You're the best player ever!
Not bad. Not bad at all. I gotta admit, I was pleasantly surprised with Hotel Mario. Graphics were nice, sound was cool, controls were tight and responsive, and it was actually kind of addicting. Now, even with that said, there is still one glaring issue about it, and it's simply this. Here you are, you're Phillips, and you're granted a Mario license, and you use it to make a game about closing doors. Not exactly the best use of a Mario license. Now, this would have been a great idea for a Mario Party game, but for a standalone, no. That's all I've got to say, and if you happen to run into this game, I'd say go ahead and try it out. Alright, let's go.